Karen, just to be clear, you didn't do it.
We know who did it, Steve. We know. And we know who spearheaded this cover-up. You all know.
Yes, we do.
If John was beaten up and attacked in that house, who did it?
We don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know. And it's not for us to know. Somebody other than Karen is responsible for that, for the killing of John.
Roberta in the truth zone, mic hitting raw. Spotlight shining, she exposing the flaw. Debunking the myth, breaking their facade. This is Glass City, respect the squad. On these NYC blocks where the skyline flex big. Roberta Glass slicing lies with a truth rig. Innocence frosters, your stories unravel. She's a map through the madness of gritty gravel. Glass don't bend and facts don't break. She's a storm that's called, you feel the quake. Exposing tales stitched with crooked seams. Justice in the lens, shattered fake dreams. Dreams about killers, painted heroes in disguise. She burning propaganda with fire in her eyes. No glamour for the guilty, she call it straight. She backs victims, the voice stay awake. Stats and receipts, no spin, no clutter. Cold cases whisper, she cuts through the mutter. Truth's her tempo, don't confuse the beat. She's standing for the real while you taking a seat. True crime's a block, facts the artillery. Spinning those lies, yo, she checks that misery. Tabloid tales get smashed, no time to play. She's glass hard, break the false and save the day. True crime's a block, facts the artillery. Spinning those lies, yo, she checks that misery. Tabloid tales get smashed, no time.
Okay. How is everybody? Susan Hicks. Hello. Taterbug, Greer's Garden, Lolly 77, Maestro, Taterbug. Your latex spouse. Thank you very much for being such excellent moderators. Please, everyone, hit the thumbs up on your way in. That Jewy Jesus chick. And Tony Natali, I hope you're feeling better. The great Tony Natali's in the chat. Liz, hello. Patty Cat, hello. All right, so it was a pretty powerful day for the Commonwealth. The most powerful testimony we didn't hear because it was John O'Keefe's niece, who is still a minor. So there was no cameras or audio recorded of her testimony. We do have reports of her testimony. And it sounds like Karen Reed favored her younger brother and gave her the cold shoulder, which is just what you want to do to a young girl who just lost her mother and father tragically so young, is to make it all about you. But of course, it's with Karen Reed, it's always all about herself. Yannetti tried to clean it up on direct. I hear he didn't get far. Saying, you didn't call Karen Reed the defendant, did you, back then? Well, why would she call her the defendant back then? You know what I would have loved for John O'Keefe's niece to have said? No, I didn't call her the defendant because she hadn't murdered my uncle yet. No, so there was really no need to call her the defendant. Then, so we're going to go through her testimony. Also on the docket today, Aidan Turtleboy Kearney gets 2 new witness harassment charges. We're going to go over that, what they're from, and they may not be from what you think they may be from. Or I was surprised at what they were from. 2 new indictments for Aidan Kearney with his witness harassment case. I'm not convinced he's going to ever be convicted of any of them, but there you go. Also, we heard from 2 different employees of the Massachusetts State Police Crime Lab, Zachary Clark and Maureen Hartnett, and just with more damning evidence about the hair of John O'Keefe's found on Karen Reed's bumper. Now, of course, the Free Karen readers will say it was placed there. John O'Keefe slept with his head on the back of Karen Reed's bumper like a pillow sometimes, just napped there. I don't know what else they'd make up, but I'm sure it's Proctor. And now Tully has entered somehow the conspiracy. We heard a lot of cross-examinations about Lieutenant Tully. He's also involved in, strangely, Aidan Kearney's witness harassment case. So also on the docket, did Judge Cannoni call Yannetti an asshole? This is all before he asked for a sidebar. We're going to go through all this new breaking news and more today. Also, was I duped by Karen Reed? I think so. I think so, and I want to clear it all up. I think I was duped by one of her interviews, and I'm going to go through it and tell you how. So let's start out with John O'Keefe's niece's interview, or testimony, excuse me. This is Christina Rex reporting. These are her notes from trial. She said the niece testified on her relationship with Karen Reed. It was kind of dependent on the day. So Karen Reed Dearest, that's what I call it. Some days we were more on good standards and other days we weren't on good standards at all. And she would favor my brother. She would not ignore me, but it felt like a coldness. Really? Isn't that so surprising? Because we've seen so much shocking warmth from Karen Reed and emotion, whether it's her showing her remorse. I'm being sarcastic. We've seen no remorse, only absolute coldness, all about herself 100% of the time. On her brother, the niece said, this is the niece. I'm calling her the niece. You can call her Kay too. Brother and Reed, they were pretty close. She testified that John O'Keefe and Karen Reed's relationship was lighthearted in the beginning, but it changed. By the end of 2021 and beginning of 2022, she's really saying that they were fighting a lot. She regularly saw fights in the house, that she witnessed one fight, and Karen Reed was very upset that she witnessed it. She was very upset and angry and much louder than John O'Keefe in these fights. The niece testified about the Aruba vacation that took place over New Year's 2021 to 2022. John O'Keefe and Karen Reed had an argument in the niece and nephew's hotel room. John O'Keefe checked on them and told the nephew to get off the iPad. And then Karen Reed defended the nephew. That's like a big no-no in parenting, to not undermine someone else's parenting and take the child's side in front of the child. But Karen Reed did it. So John O'Keefe told his nephew to get off his iPad. Then Karen Reed defended the nephew and then started yelling about how he had kissed someone else in front of the children, yelling in front of the children about how he kissed someone else, and she had witnessed it. It was really loud. Same language used by Peggy O'Keefe about Karen Reed in the hospital. She was really loud. Quote, she was very upset. The niece also testified that the relationship was never the same after this Aruba trip, and that it just was like a nonstop slide down. That on January 22, John O'Keefe and Karen Reed in the kitchen were fighting while the niece was in the room next door. Their relationship was good, but it had run its course. The niece said that John O'Keefe said to Karen Reed, this was a good relationship, but it's run its course. I don't remember exactly what she said, but she was upset by that statement. He asked her to leave the house. This is what I've been repeating over and over. She didn't want to leave the house. This was 2 days before the murder. At least that's what's been reported in the filings. O'Keefe saw niece in the other room, or the opening statement. Am I remembering wrong? The opening statement? John O'Keefe saw niece in the other room and got angry that she witnessed the fight. Asked Karen Reed more aggressively to leave, then went upstairs to the bedroom. Karen Reed followed him upstairs. Instead of respecting John O'Keefe's boundaries when he asks her to leave his home, she follows him upstairs and then starts banging on the bedroom door that he's barricaded himself in to get away from her. In later days, weeks, I could tell there was tension. They were cold towards each other a couple times a week. There was tension and arguing. I heard the defendant on the phone, and she was saying that me and my brother were really worried. On one occasion, when she was trying to get John O'Keefe to come home, when he had left for a drive, niece said she wasn't actually worried. So Karen Reed was not above using the children to manipulate John O'Keefe. And we see in her text messages on that last day, she's saying that the four of them are toxic together, meaning we're not toxic, but once you bring the children in, it becomes toxic. So the children made things toxic, and you can tell her just total hatred for the kids. She had a rule that from those text messages, she had a rule that she had to charge her phone in O'Keefe's room at bedtime. So I don't know if this is where it becomes who's saying what. Is this Christina Rex's interpretation of the minor niece's words, or did she use the word rule? Is it a little bit like John O'Keefe's rule? This is what Innocence Fraud Watch asked on X. I thought it was a great question to Christina Rex. Did she have a habit, or did she have a rule? Because it seems a little odd for her to have a rule that she imposed on John O'Keefe in his own home, but she had a rule that she had to charge her phone in O'Keefe's room at bedtime. What do you guys think that's about? Little like how she ignored the rule that John O'Keefe had about nobody was allowed to wear their shoes in his home. She's a neat freak. After her friend left before midnight, she was home alone and put her phone in O'Keefe's room and went to bed. Reed came into her room at 4:30, shaking her awake, told me that my uncle never came home. She was very frantic. Oh, okay. So she had a rule that she had to charge her phone in O'Keefe's. So there was a rule in the home, and so did John O'Keefe say that there was a rule that Kaylee had to charge her phone in John O'Keefe's bedroom at bedtime? So we have the phone at bedtime. I guess John O'Keefe, sounds like John O'Keefe's rule, not Karen Reed's, no? After her friend left before midnight, she was home alone and put her phone in O'Keefe's room and went to bed. Reed came into her room at 4:30, shaking her awake. I mean, what a nightmare for a child who's already been traumatized, already had their mother die of a brain tumor, then their father die. And you're very sensitive to the unexpected after that kind of trauma. So she just decided to shake her awake and make it all about herself. Told me that my uncle never came home and she was very frantic, or she pretended to be very frantic. Reed asked niece to ask her to use her phone to call John O'Keefe, and there was no answer. Reed asked for phone numbers she didn't have, including Jennifer McCabe's, I would ask my audience to think about why she involved Jennifer McCabe and Carrie Roberts when she could have just called 911 immediately. Niece remembers things Karen said on the phone, but not necessarily to whom, because there were several calls, like what could have happened? Could I have done something? Could he have been hit by a plow? And she said, maybe I hit him. Niece said she had never seen Reed like this. putting on an act, pretending to be frantic and scared. Reed came back to the house with Jennifer McCabe and Carrie Roberts and checked on the niece. Jen checked on the niece and was level-headed. Karen did not interact with her, the niece. At this point, the niece was very nervous, she said. Karen Reed came back later that morning after the hospital with her dad and her brother, and she said to the niece and the niece's grandfather, John O'Keefe's father, that she felt like she was living in a nightmare. And so on cross-examination, Yannetti reminded her that Karen Reed would do things with her, like get her nails done once a month, her hair done at a salon she would pay for, I guess. Reed attended basketball games, possibly, but so did my uncle. Softball, soccer, yes. Helped straighten the niece's hair, maybe once a week. Planned birthdays, the 2020 scavenger hunt, yes. You would stay with Karen at her home in Mansfield, yes. And Reed took kids for the Italian dinner and ice cream, but the niece didn't remember that. O'Keefe was in the room with you the whole night with Karen Reed and nephew, Yannetti said. She doesn't remember. She just remembers that after their fight, John O'Keefe fell asleep in his niece's bed for a few hours. Is it your testimony that John O'Keefe ran in the New Year's asleep? Niece doesn't remember. And then Yannetti said, well, you never saw them hitting each other or Karen Reed hitting John O'Keefe. And she said, no. That was the cleanup of that devastating testimony. Also, we saw more of Karen Reed's own statements, where Karen Reed said that John O'Keefe told her that he was never going to ever break up with her. Never, ever. I thought this one would definitely get played, and I was right. It doesn't look good. He promised me, what boyfriend promises you that you're never, ever going to break up? But here's Karen Reed. She doesn't think things were going badly. Things were great. Same kind of echoes the same kind of statements her parents gave when they gave an interview, that things were wonderful between John O'Keefe and Karen Reed at the time of his murder. But here, take a listen. This is what she told Dateline, October 18th, 2024.
There's innuendo here that you guys have really been going at it. This was sort of had like a last date element to it. Is that going on?
That was not going on. Don't get it clear to me. I'm never breaking up with you. Not never that we're in this good or bad, but you're the best person I've ever.
So that they cut it off. This is what. So it was a little muffled and hard to hear. So the interviewer asked, did this have a last date kind of feel to it? Was that going on? No, that wasn't going on. John made it clear to me, and she's got the crazy eyes going when she's saying this. John made it clear to me that he was never breaking up with me. Never. And then she catches herself. I mean, not never, but he just made it clear to me that I was the best person. And then it cuts off. I was the best person in his life, or one of the best things in his life, something like that. I just loved where they cut it off. I got a kick out of that. Okay, here's the second statement.
I don't see how John would have known about my text with Brian. And I'm not sure if he knew he would have reacted very strongly. I think we would have broken up, but I don't think John would have lost it and caused a fight. I didn't feel like John's emotions with me got really strong.
Thank you.
So his emotions didn't get strong, but that certainly problem with that is it goes against their own defense strategy to say that John O'Keefe would have gotten into a deadly, fatal fist fight over Karen Reed with Brian Higgins. And she's like, I don't think so. He was pretty mellow. Really? I mean, okay. Yeah, I don't think if he saw those text messages. So they're also trying to clean up because this was like the bad thing about Iron Man Buchanan's. He believed all that nonsense for Karen Reed. He didn't realize that Karen Reed is such a gigantic, massive liar, Buchanan, that he was saying, well, I think that Karen Reed was flirting with Brian Higgins for revenge over Aruba. That kissed someone else. You know, it never happened. He didn't kiss anyone else in Aruba. This was all a figment of Karen Reed's. It's not a figment of her imagination. It's not because she's jealous. It's just to get him on the defensive. It's a power play for her to get him on the defensive and get him into an apologetic, passive state so she can continue to have control over him. And there's, you know, and speaking of control, there have been reports that Karen Reed was out at was it a hockey game last night? Am I right? Was it a hockey game or basketball game, sports game last night? Not last night, the night before, excuse me, before she called in sick, drinking with Alan Jackson, with the little man himself, with the tiny lawyer himself. And boy, she seems to still have such resentment, especially towards the female niece of John O'Keefe and the entire O'Keefe family and friends and anyone who essentially knows she's guilty, but massive hostility towards the O'Keefe family. We saw it with, she was imitating Peggy O'Keefe. I think he got hit by a car, which she never said, ever. Celtics, thank you, basketball game. Drinking. But what a control play if she wasn't sick to say, yep, I decide when court is. Hey, John O'Keefe's niece, I decide when court is. I decide when you're going to testify. I may not be in your life, but I still call the shots. Something to think about. I'll put it out for you guys to think about. Also, discussed before I get into some of the testimony of today from the forensics, just all devastating for Karen Reed. Just the order of this trial has been very effective, I've found. And also to have Karen Reed narrating it is just diabolical. Karen Reed narrating her own trial. But was there a moment, I get to my bookmarks, where Judge Kearney called, here, this is from a free Karen reader on X. He's saying that Judge Kearney is calling Yannetti an asshole. You can clearly hear someone's muttering it under their breath. I don't know whether it was. You take a listen and let me know whether you think this was Judge Kearney. Take a listen.
That he and Kevin Albert had socialized together by drinking alcohol in his cruises.
Sustained injuries on great.
This is, by the way, this is Zachary Clark from the Massachusetts State Police Crime Lab.
I'm going to ask you to strike that question. Disregard.
I need to be heard at sidebar.
I will hear you.
Did you hear that? It was like asshole, like that. I don't know. To me, it sounds like it might have been someone else. She looked like pretty far away from can't imagine her. Here's Karen Reed saying she feels great. Coming into court. She feels great, gives the big thumbs up to the press. I mean, what a way to who recovers so quickly? We already saw that Hank Brennan came in when he was really feeling awful and argued emotion. She just has to sit there. And she feel well enough to just sit in a chair, occasionally get up and walk to sidebar? Really? I mean, it seems like it's very much the way she deals with her murder of John O'Keefe. It's like she wants to brag about it, but she doesn't want any of the consequences. So we have these kind of I did it statements and telling interviews, contradictory and self-incriminating interviews. I don't know. It seems like she wanted everyone to know that she wasn't really sick. When you say like a little bit better, thanks, you know? Odd. Also, let me see. Before I get into the testimony from today, let's talk about Aidan Kearney and his witness harassment charges. He's got 2 new charges, and they are from when he went up to the Albert's pizza place and made statements to the cameras. Take a listen.
Kearney, the controversial blogger known as Turtleboy, has once again been indicted for intimidating witnesses in the Karen Reed case. These latest charges stem from an incident outside a pizza shop owned by a key witness in Reed's case. Kearney is free on bail and has pleaded not guilty to the charges against him.
So that is that. To give you an idea of what he went up to the Albert's pizza shop and stuck out his middle fingers, very much like Karen Reed, and said, "Hi, Chris, what have you done? Murdered Mrs. You. Wishes he was alive today. He would be. Why did you do that, Chris? Why did you tell the jury that you got home? Why did you say you went upstairs and then waited 15 minutes? Then Colin came home. Colin didn't make it home until at least 12:45. Chris, it was Colin. Chris, I just want to know. I just want to know why Colin took so long to get to your house. Why, Chris? Please tell me why. Colin did it. You can tell me. You can tell me, Chris. I know you didn't do it. I don't want to scare you. Tell Gill to keep their hands to herself too." So Jill Daniels, I think he's talking about there. Kearney has posted prolifically about the Reed case, pushing the defense's theory. That's the way WCVB reports on it. So he's pled not guilty to it. He's cloaking himself in the First Amendment. I don't know. In Massachusetts, I'm not convinced he's going to get convicted of. I know he has a lot of charges, now 2 more indictments against him. I don't know if he's going to get convicted of any of them in Massachusetts. Very blue Massachusetts. That's how I feel now. I'm going to take a quick break. When we get back, Karen Reed fooled me. She did a number on my head. We're going to go through when I get back. Also today's testimony, all that and more. Please hit the thumbs up. Support the channel. The links are in the description of this episode and every episode. Great way to support the channel. Venmo, buy me a coffee, become a Patreon member. Want to thank B Rabbit for becoming a Patreon member. And I think, hold on one second. And D Samalam, thank you for upping your membership. I appreciate it very much. this channel, especially right now, when taking this side of the Karen Reed case, it is really pretty much entirely listener supported. So I really appreciate all your support. Going to take a little bit break. When I get back from the break, we'll talk again about a little bit about how Karen Reed fooled me. Don't go anywhere. You won't want to miss this.
Mic check, Roberta strides through the static haze. True crime Gotham where the shadows play their plays. Fraudsters fold when a spotlight beams. Fact-focused queen busting propaganda schemes. Glass shatter lies echoes through the streets. Standing for victims, giving voice their beats. NYC Post, truth sharp as night. Roberta exposing she's the anti-fraud light. Hard task warrior, dissecting state and defense. Twisted innocence, claims breaking pretense. Gotham's truth seeker cuts clean with the blade. Facts in the forefront, no justice gets swayed. Cold facts drip heavy, real talk unfurls. Cracking cases open like oysters with pearls. Innocence gimmicks crumble to dust in the wind. For victims, her creed, justice till the end. Headphones blazing, she drops heavy artillery. Narratives twisted, meet blunt object civility. Roberta got receipts that unravel the ploy. Exposing the lies these fraudsters deploy. Glass shatters lies, echoes through the streets. Standing for victims, giving voice their beats. NYC Post, truth sharp as night. Roberta exposing she's the anti-fraud light.
Okay, I am back. So, does anyone remember this video I made about Karen Reed? And I think I got hypnotized by this interview that she gave to the ID Discovery TV crew about how you can tell when she came home that night that she connected to John's Wi-Fi. Take a listen.
Natural math. There's a point in time when Karen Reed comes home and puts her car in the garage in between those two time periods, but there's no Ring camera footage of that.
We know the Ring video had to be deleted because at 12:41, I leave a voicemail to John where you can clearly hear me pull into John's garage. You can hear my car sensors beeping as I come close to the sides of the garage door. Beep, 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 beep. And then you hear the car go off, and then you hear the sled ding, ding, ding as I open the door, shut the door. I had high heels on that night. You hear me walk in, go in through the stairs up into the kitchen, shut the door, and you hear me walk into the kitchen. It's like a full minute long. That's at 12:41. But the Ring video of me arriving home is mysteriously missing. The prosecution is accusing me of deleting the Ring, and we're accusing them. Why am I deleting these videos? If anything, I mean, I want the video when I arrive home to show that my taillight's intact.
Okay, so she's talking about how you can come in, right? You can come in and you can hear it. And I was quoting this. You can hear the beep, beep, beep of her car, just to go back. Just want
the
you to
night,
hear it
you
one
hear
more
me
time.
walk in, go in through the stairs up into the kitchen, shut the door, and you hear me walk into the kitchen. It's like a full minute long. That's at 12:41. But the ring video of me arriving,
So you hear the beep, 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 beep
hear
of
me
her
walk
car.
in, go in through the
Wait, hold on. I'll go backwards.
and then you hear the car go off, and then you hear the sled ding, ding, ding as I open the door, shut the door. I had high heels on that night. You hear me walk in, go in through the stairs up into the kitchen, shut the door, and you hear me walk into the kitchen.
So innocence fraud got me thinking, talking about how that could have been the ding, 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 could have been her seatbelt going off. I talked about it like car sensors. She talks about the car sensors going off. Thank you for letting us know that your car sensor, right, opening the door. Were you opening the door? Or were you getting off your seatbelt? There's a impotence for the defense to say that she came home earlier. You know, I know that when I turn onto my block in New York City, that as soon as I'm like pretty close, my phone will start connecting way before I'm home to my Wi-Fi. And we know that she also had to get out if she's to open the garage door. There was a pad on the side of the door. She didn't have a remote. There was a pad on the side of John O'Keefe's door where she had to type in to open the garage door, right? Unlock the garage door. But we know that her car beeps like this. So I was saying it's like, you know, I was confusing a lot of things. Like when she's saying the door's opening, but her car beeps. So when I say that she's going approximately 24 miles an hour in reverse, her foot approximately 75% on the gas. So she's almost flooring it, 3/4 of the way to flooring it, to hit John in reverse with her infotainment system beeping and flashing at her. None of those sounds are described in that interview. It really sounded like this. I played this before, but I think it bears repeating how unnatural the sound is and how it wouldn't be covered up by loud music or the howling wind. In fact, I've had people say that who've had Lexuses, I don't know about her model, but that it does turn down the sound in your car. So it would be making that kind of sound. I don't want to blow out your eardrums, people listening with headphones, but that's what it would. I mean, that's an unnatural sound that you can't miss, especially when you're know your own car, right? So Innocence Fraud Watch asked some really good questions that the press is not asking. Karen Reed in a blog, I put it in the description of this episode. 14 questions for a psychopathic murderer, pathological liar, and innocence fraudster Karen Reed. When you heard your car sensors beeping at around 12:32, 12 a.m., why did you choose not to apply the brakes? We know that she never applied the brakes during the time that her info system is beeping and flashing at her that she's going to hit something. And if we saw her driving recklessly, I mean, we've seen the video of her driving that morning. And she wasn't driving recklessly. And you wouldn't think that John O'Keefe wouldn't let her drive if he thought she was driving recklessly. But I don't know. Maybe that's an assumption that we couldn't make. After fleeing from your crime scene at 12:32:18, why did you wait 1 minute and 35 seconds before you decided to call John O'Keefe's cell phone at 12:35 a.m.? When exactly did you make the decision to drive to John O'Keefe's house and gain entry like a burglar via John's garage instead of driving back to your own home in Mansfield in preparation for your alleged plumbing issues to be resolved by Richie the plumber. Does anybody remember Richie the plumber? I mean, if you've been listening to this channel, you know all about Richie the plumber. So this was what John O'Keefe told Michael Camerano, that he was annoyed that Karen Reed, 7:15, said she was waiting for her Richie the plumber to arrive, and that eventually he had arrived, but he was going to Home Depot to fix her hot water issues and get a new part for her rusty pipe, and he would be back mañana during the seventh worst storm, a nor'easter, that this area of Massachusetts has ever seen. Sounds unlikely. And did they fight about that plumber issue? I mean, it seems like a really good time to remind everybody about Richie, who Richie the plumber is. This was mentioned at this trial. We had all the text messages between John O'Keefe and Karen Reed and testimony about Richie the plumber. Things we didn't hear about first time round. It's an important part of the narrative that Karen Reed does not want you to talk about. She wants her fake narrative to dominate. So I think it's a good time to play the Richie the plumber song.
Everyone is waiting for me to arrive at the bar. At home in Mansfield, I'm making up a new co-star. His name is Richie the plumber. No hot water, it's a bummer. It's all a figment of my imagination. Call it a lie, I feign rightful indignation. Call the plumber, I got a rusty pipe. Hot water is not working, I'm starting a fight. Sure it's a lie, but it's a little one. Gotta get my boyfriend under my thumb. John says he and his papa would have fixed it. If only this broken pipe in real life existed. Causing pain and suffering is what I do best. Putting my boyfriend's patience through test after test. Richie, my imaginary plumber, is at Home Depot, hoping that story will get a rise out of my boyfriend and his libido. I'll arrive at the bar showing up late, make him angry right out of the gate. He's slow at feeling lovey-dovey, I'm downright twisted and scummy. I'll down many drinks and run him over after it gets late. Scream and cry, it's you, John, who I hate. Leave him to die in a blizzard, inflicting pain, I'm a wizard. Get Jen to call 911, have the whole town pointing fingers when it's over and done.
That sums it up. So just to bring up her Richie the plumber tale, did they find any text messages between Karen Reed, communications on Karen Reed's phone between Richie the plumber? I thought that would surely be the question that Hank Brennan would ask Nick Garino, but it's still a big mystery. Did this Richie the plumber exist? Were there any text messages on Karen's phone to this plumber that delayed her getting out to the bar to meet John O'Keefe? It's really important. Why it's so important? It's because it's had to be one of the last fights they had, if not the last. I mean, what would be the first thing you would say to Karen Reed when she came, if you were John O'Keefe, to the bar? How'd you get on with that plumber? And we never heard Karen Reed saying, oh, well, we heard that the next day she was out with a private investigator. retracing her steps, but we never heard anything about her plumbing issue in Mansfield and how it got fixed. When exactly did you make the decision to, this is another question for Karen Reed from Innocence Fraud Watch. When exactly did you make the decision to drive to John O'Keefe's house and gain entry like a burglar? Okay, I've read this, but I'll read it again. Gain entry like a burglar via John's garage instead of driving back to your own home in Mansfield in preparation for your alleged plumbing issues to be resolved by Richie. Why did you delete the Ring camera video footage of your arrival in John O'Keefe's driveway, which would have also caught you entering in the key code to John's garage? Let me show you guys this, because this is another thing, another inaccuracy that has been pushed by people on our side of the fence. So, do you see where the why did you delete the Ring camera footage of your arrival to John O'Keefe's driveway, which would have also caught you entering the key code to John's garage like it did hours later? Watch video clip 2 here, evidencing Margaret, Peggy O'Keefe, and yourself using coded keypad on the 29th. Shut that, hold on.
The sea is like a shooting range, just with larger calibers and greater distance.
Whoop, sorry. Let me just try
The
to
analgesic vitamin that eliminates 20 years of neuropathy pain.
Did you know that neuropathy?
Okay, thank you.
So there she is putting in the pad. Putting in the key code. RIP my ears. That music is blasting through my headphones. I don't know if you heard it. Really good question, right? What exactly were you doing for the 4 minutes and 56 seconds, almost 5 minutes outside of John O'Keefe's garage before you pulled in and called John's cell phone at 12:41:35 when you had auto connected to John's Wi-Fi at 12:36? So there's a 4 minute period, 4 minute and 56 second period. I mean, is that when she deleted the Ring footage of her pulling in? I don't know. So there's an unaccounted for 4 minutes and 56 seconds where she pulls into John's garage. You can hear my car sensors, just exactly what I played. You can hear my car sensors beeping as I come close to the sides of the garage. Then you can hear the car go off as I open the door, shut the door. I had high heels on that night. You hear me walk in, go in through the stairs, up into the kitchen, shut the door. Then you hear me walk into the kitchen. It's like a full minute long. That's at 12:41. Why did you choose to disrespect John O'Keefe and his rules of the house of no shoes in the house? So he had a rule, and Carrie and Jen were wrestling with their boots, and Karen ran right into the house with her shoes on. She did it, and that night it sounds like we don't hear her knock off her high heels, right? If your 12:41:35 a.m. voicemail lasted for around a minute when you say you would have been in John O'Keefe's kitchen, why did you wait over 33 minutes and 2 seconds before checking on John's niece, if you ever did at all? And was the ding, ding, ding you referred to the sliding of your seatbelt unfastening? And will the black box data recording from your SUV evidence the fact that the ding, ding, ding also occurred a few minutes before you left your second voicemail at 12:41:35? So this is a really curious part of the opening statement of Hank Brennan, where he talks about this car data, this black box data. Take a listen.
Data, not just the cell phone data, but there's some other very important data. And the other piece of data that goes hand in glove with the cell phone is information on the defendant's Lexus vehicle chips. You might have heard of black box in an airplane, or there's some type of event that captures a small amount of time. Well, that was captured in the defendant's Lexus. That black box information with the cell phone data will tell you everything you know in this case. It will bring us step by step through the entire night to death. And so they leave the waterfall bar at 12:12, and you'll see that the ignition goes on to the defendant's Lexus. And both John O'Keefe and the defendant in the car, and they decide that they're going to go back to 34th Fairview Road, where we talked about earlier. They're going to go there for a get together for one of the homeowner's sons who's having a birthday party.
Yeah, that's interesting. You know, and Karen Reed has done a really good job of calling it a party or an after party or a drinking party. And I've always called it a get together. I mean, you call it like a teenager's birthday party. But is Hank Brennan saving all that data? Are we going to go through? So what we saw today is we saw information about DNA on the John's hair on the taillight, pieces of taillight, you know, the crime lab and the DNA that they tested for on the John's DNA on the pieces of taillight. And Alessi was calling the hair what did he call it? Wasn't the alleged? It was like, what was it? Do you guys remember? It was like such a weird phrase he was using. It was like he was trying to cast doubt about this hair found and saying that touch DNA could have caused this, like John could have just like massaged Karen Reed's taillight. Apparent, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. The inside man, thank you. The apparent hair. I heard it so many times, right? The conspiracy crime lab. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if they're doing a good job. So is he going to go through all this, all the other evidence, and then at the end just go through the black box data as just the final death nail in the Karen Reed case for those who haven't been touched by the innocence fraud case campaign done by Karen Reed and her lawyers with the help of Aidan Turtleboy Kearney? If you've been really touched or convinced by the innocence fraud campaign, if you've been convinced, there's no evidence that you could show those people that would convince them that Karen Reed did it. And we were headed towards another hung jury, which is possible. But if it's a fair jury, that will be the death nail. I keep hearing reports of this one male juror's face who nods along with Alan Jackson and smirks when the niece testifies. Is he going to be a juror or is he going to be an alternate juror? We don't know. Do these smirks mean anything? Certainly when I was watching the jury, Larry's Ray's case, he really couldn't, they were really poker faced. You couldn't tell what was going on with them day after day. But with the Nexium case, by the end of Keith Ranieri's trial, it just looked like they were smelling something bad every time his lawyer came to the podium, and more terrible testimony. It was tested, it was consistent with John O'Keefe's hair. That's my understanding. Correct me if I'm wrong. And John O'Keefe's DNA consistent with John O'Keefe to a crazy degree was found on the taillight, pieces of taillight. But the defense is going to say it's planted there because of the way that the hair stuck on the back of the vehicle for so long. But it will, in the cold, it will freeze there. So back to Innocence Fraud Watch is really thought-provoking and fascinating questions. Just felt like I couldn't miss reading these out. I mean, these are all great questions to ask Karen Reed that the press will never ask her. Was the ding, ding, ding you referred to the sliding of your seatbelt unfastening, and will the black box data recorder from your SUV evidence the fact that the ding, ding, ding also occurred a few minutes before you left your second voicemail at 12:41:35? At what time exactly were you discharged from the Section 12 hold at the Good Samaritan Medical Center in Brockton on January 29, 2022? You lied again and stated you were released from the hospital at noon, but you were caught on Ring camera footage in the driveway at Meadows Avenue by 12:04 p.m. And she was released so quickly. They think that you are any threat to yourself. People have had you sectioned. It is so hard to get out of those kind of holds quickly like that. Not that I've experienced it, but I do know. That is my understanding, is that it's super hard. I've never seen anyone get out of a hold like this, because if you do anything to yourself, the hospital could be sued for negligence for letting you go. Q10 was your 12:41:35 voicemail to John O'Keefe's cell phone intentional? What were you doing for almost 13 minutes between when you walked into John O'Keefe's kitchen to when you decided to send his phone a message at 12:55:31 reading, "I'm going home"? Why didn't you drive back to your house in Mansfield? Why didn't you check up on John O'Keefe's niece? Here's a question. Why, when she went to John O'Keefe's home with her parents to see the children, why didn't she communicate, why didn't she acknowledge their grief or communicate anything to them except the nightmare that she was living through? Which she communicated, according to John O'Keefe's niece, to her and her grandfather, meaning John O'Keefe's father. Why did you leave John O'Keefe's right garage door open before you showed witnesses Jen McCabe and Carrie Roberts your smashed to smithereens right rear taillight at around 5:52 a.m.? So all really good questions. We can look at some of the testimony from today. One second. So this is Maureen Hartnett, and we'll listen to a little bit of a beginning of her testimony.
Your Honor, as this witness is approaching, can I just move into evidence clips 19 and 20 that were previously played for the jury?
Yes. Also, I wanted to mention that it was Laura McLaughlin, who did the direct examination of John O'Keefe's niece, and made me very sad that I couldn't. She's like an excellent lawyer. We don't see her in action very often in the courtroom, but anytime there's evidence or something needed or something needed clarifying, Laura McLaughlin is there. So I would have really liked to have seen her direct of John O'Keefe's niece. And it's a smart move having, I would think that she was given that task because she might have developed a relationship with her, or that she was a woman and that, to just make her more comfortable. I don't know. Just curious. This is the only testimony that I've seen her do. And it's nice not to have it all Hank all the time. But here's Maureen Hartnett.
137.
I lied. She's like right after this. Here we go.
I'm writing my notes with.
This may be too fast.
Yes.
Yes.
No objection, Your Honor.
138.
With the court's permission, I'd like to show P145.
So another thing is that, well, devastating is that this is one picture after another of the state of Karen Reed's SUV in the taillight. Alessi asked why the undercarriage wasn't tested for DNA today. But I don't think that the Commonwealth's case is that Karen Reed ran over John O'Keefe fully with her car. It's that she clipped him. The Commonwealth's case is that she clipped him on the side and he spun out. And I believe that they're going to argue that he hit his head. That's where the head fracture came from. A little bit different than last trial where they said it could have come from many things. The ground, the curb, anything that he hit that was hard. But I think they're going to say it's the top of the car. We still haven't heard the accident reconstructionist yet testify. That we also have coming up.
Ms. Hartnett, is that what you saw when you arrived?
Yes, it is.
Did anything stand out to you when you first looked at the back of that Lexus?
I noticed there was some damage to the rear passenger area of the vehicle.
Take that down, please. Did you have a chance to walk around and look at the vehicle from the driver's side of the vehicle, the left side?
Yes.
May I approach?
Yes.
I'm showing you a photograph. Do you recognize what's in that photograph?
Yes.
What is it?
This is the driver's side of the Lexus.
Did the Lexus appear to you the same as it does in that photograph?
Yes.
Is that a fair and accurate depiction?
Yes.
All right, move this again, please.
No objection, Your Honor.
Exhibit 139.
With the court's permission, I'd ask to show the jury's P144.
Okay.
Could you describe what you saw, ma'am?
Yeah, so this is the driver's side of the black Lexus.
Thank you. You can take that down. Did you get a closer look from the right side of the Lexus to pay detail or attention to what you described from the back view that stood out to you?
Are you referring to the damaged area?
I am.
Yes. So I did take notes of that area and as well as had additional photographs taken of that area.
May I approach your honor?
Yes.
I'm showing you a photograph. Do you recognize it?
Yes.
What is it?
This is a close-up photograph of the rear passenger side tail light area.
Does that photo depict what you saw that day?
Yes, it does.
Is it a fair and accurate depiction?
Yes.
With the course mission, I'd like to use exhibit.
No objection, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Exhibit 140?
May I show it to the jury, Your Honor?
Yes.
P161, please. Can you describe what you saw?
Yes, that is the rear passenger tail light of the vehicle.
Is that how it appeared when you first walked in that day?
Yes, it is.
You can take that down. Thank you. When you examine an item like a car, do you take any type of efforts to protect from contamination?
Yes.
What do you do?
Before processing or touching any item of evidence, I'll put on gloves. I use disposable instruments whenever possible, or if I need to use reusable instruments, I will spray them with a 10% bleach solution prior to use. I also change gloves often while I'm examining a vehicle and keep my notes and my pens that I'm writing my notes with. I don't put on gloves when I touch those, and then when I go back to examine the vehicle, I will then re-put on gloves to protect the evidence.
If you see something of note, something that stands out to you, do you have any way of marking the item?
Yes, I take diagrams at the scene and note on my diagrams anything of note. And as I had said, if there's anything that I also want close-up photographs, then I will request the crime scene services trooper who's assigned to crime scene to take those photographs.
Do you ever put any type of markers on the item itself?
Yes, generally I will mark the items with either a letter or a number so that I'm able to refer back to them both in my notes, and I'm able to refer to them when I look at the photos.
When you mark different items or observations that you make, do you give a specific number to each item for to memorialize it?
Yes, I either use a lettering system or a numbering system.
And how do you memorialize it? Do you put it in writing?
Yes.
What do you do?
On my diagram, I will refer to something, for example, as letter A, and then I'll also mark that item using a marker on the item of evidence with the same letter so that I can connect and associate the photograph with my notes and anything that I collect as well.
In addition to the broken taillight that we just looked at, did you make observation of any other things? And I'm just asking generally, not asking you to specify.
Yes.
Were there other things that stood out to you?
Yes.
Did you take any swabs, from as far as trace for blood?
I screened for blood on various areas of the undercarriage of the vehicle.
And what was the results?
Those were negative.
What does negative mean?
It means that there was no blood present in that area, or if there was, it was below the level of detection of our test.
Did you make any observations where you saw items or marks of interest?
Yes.
I want to ask you about any observations you made of the back bumper. Was there anything significant that you saw relative to the back bumper of that vehicle?
Yes.
And share with us what you saw.
There were scratches on the bumper as well as apparent pieces of glass on the bumper.
When you saw what you believe to be pieces of glass on the back bumper, what is the process you follow?
I gave those an identifying letter. I noted those items in my diagram, and then I eventually collected those items.
How do you collect them?
I would have used either disposable tweezers or tweezers that were cleaned with a 10% bleach solution.
After you collect the items, for example, glass on the back bumper, what do you do with that?
In that moment or later on?
Take us through from the moment you have it till the end.
So I would put those pieces of glass into a glassine envelope, which are then packaged in a larger manila envelope. They are sealed and dated and initialed with my dates and initials. Eventually, when I return to the lab, those pieces are given an item number and then secured in our cold room.
Is each piece of evidence given a separate item number?
Yes.
As far as the entire case, your entire response, not the separate pieces of evidence you may find, is it assigned a particular number or a case number?
Yes, each case will get a larger case number, and then each item within that case gets an individual item number, so that item can be tracked throughout the lab.
Do you remember from your memory what the case number of this investigation as far as your response was?
Yes.
Could you share that with us?
The case number assigned to this in the laboratory information system was 22-2184.
I want to go back to the glass on the bumper. May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
I'm showing you a photograph. Do you recognize what's in that photograph?
Yes, I do.
Is that a fair and accurate depiction of what you saw that day?
Yes.
And could you generally describe what you see?
This is a close-up photograph of the apparent glass on the bumper of the vehicle.
No objection, Your Honor.
So what's the significance? So we know that John O'Keefe had portions of the taillight embedded in his shirt. We know he was carrying a cocktail glass, which Karen Reed has admitted it was hers. All this is very damning for Karen Reed. So that'll give you an idea, a little bit of idea of some of the footage that was shown today. I'm not going to keep it super long tonight. I think that Alessi tried to do a good job saying that she counted wrong, couldn't believe her eyes. He showing her all these pictures from different angles. Sounded like Dear Judge, like the Dear Judge. Claudia, are you back to the, you think Judge Cannoni called Yannetti an asshole? Seems unlikely. I don't know. Such a small courtroom, could be anyone. You know, that microphone seems like it could pick up a lot of things, but so yeah, the glass certainly was very interesting. I'm just curious when we're going to see this. We've been promised this black box data, when this is coming in. I hope this is not an empty promise by the Commonwealth. Certainly. And I'm curious as to what new testing ARCA has done and how they're going to testify and how that's going to go for the defense and what kind of case the defense is going to put on. But we're certainly, it feels like we're going very quickly. Like it seems like, if I had to guess, that the Commonwealth can't have more than a week and a half or 2 weeks left of testimony. Depending on how long these crosses are, as long as they are, maybe it will go very slowly. But that's what I have for today. I'll be back tomorrow tomorrow at 9 a.m. Can I play what again? You want to see what, DJ? Do people really want to see that again? I'll be back at 9 a.m. Yeah, I don't think you guys want to see that. Go back and watch it again, DJ. Or you can watch my whole live stream of today. Be back at 9 a.m. And I hope you guys will watch it with me. Please support the channel. Hit the thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. There's all sorts of ways to support this channel linked in the description of this episode. Buy me a coffee. Send a donation via Venmo or become a Patreon member. You can get content you can't get anywhere else on Patreon. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 9 a.m. Thanks so much for listening. My Venmo's listed in the description of every episode. Okay. Have a great night, everybody.
I hit my boyfriend with my car. It wasn't an accident, but with lying lawyers I'll go far. Lying lawyers and witness harassment. I'll avoid prison. It was snowing. I pushed the pedal down, hit him hard. Now the legal system I clown. Innocence fraud campaign to save my skin. Making money, truth is my second victim. Carry, carry, gin, gin. Like John, you were my mom. My innocence fraud campaign is my biggest hit. Yeah. the pedal down, hit him hard now, the legal system I clown. Innocence fraud campaign to save my skin. Making money, truth is my second victim.